This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Say PTBN, have you heard them yet? Oh, but they're so marked out. Jenny and the Jams. Oh, but they're weird and they're wonderful. Oh, Jenny, she's really green. She's got electric boobs, the network too. You know I read it in the dirt. She's a hoe. Jenny and the Jams.
Hi, welcome to Jenny and the Gems. My name is Jenny. I'm here with my beautiful gems, Matt Souza. How you doing, Matt?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good, not too bad. Scott Criscuolo, how are you?
I'm well. How was the Chick-fil-A line?
Oh, Chick-fil-A is wonderful. I'm such a fat shit now. And
Who's not at this point, really?
I know, right? Drew Wardlaw, how are you?
Doing good.
Yeah.
I did not eat dinner after eating 2 Del Taco lunches back to back.
I like it. That's even worse than my one Chick-fil-A, so I'll take it.
I'm feeling great.
It'll hit you later, don't worry.
Yeah.
3 Tim Capel Taco Bells
Yeah.
equal to Drew Wardlaw Del Taco.
Yeah. Well, what's your opinion about Taco Bell versus Del Taco?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, gosh. I mean, that's like making me choose between my children. But, gosh, you know what? 10 years ago, I would have said Del Taco just because it was so cheap. And they used to serve their macho-sized fries in a medium-sized soda cup. But at this point, I gotta go Taco Bell.
Wise choice. Have you had the chalupa Pete? I mean the whatever they're calling it.
Triple Lupa.
Triple Lupa?
Yeah. Have you
I
had
had
that
3
yet?
of them the other day.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Look at you.
Holy shit.
Lord. The fucking chalup orgy. Oh, man.
Oh,
I had
wow.
one last week, too. It was quite delicious.
Yeah,
They
delicious.
are pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so last time we did March to WrestleMania 9, and so we decided to keep on with that theme and do March to WrestleMania 10. This is, of course, in the Hidden Gems section of the award-winning WWE Network. Interesting show. We'll see how we feel about it versus our thoughts about the last one. It was aired on the USA Network on March 13th in 1994, a week prior to WrestleMania 10. This is like, this whole production is very choppy and confusing to me because we will switch back and forth between commentators, and the way they put it together was very odd, in my opinion. But some of the matches were filmed in February in New York, and then some of them were filmed 2 days later in another part of New York. So they were kind of like mashed together. Is that, I mean, it seems odd to me. Is that odd that they would do that?
It is. Part of the show, I would say, let's see, most of the show, well, maybe 3 matches, I guess, were from it doesn't have the venue, but it was probably one of these resorts in Loch Sheldrick, New York, which is in a county just west of Manhattan. Or as the way Suze could have said it, Loch Sheldrick. Very.
No, I would have said Sheldrake because I'm in.
Yeah, I would have said Sheldrake too.
Sheldrake. Very whitey.
Drake.
And then other matches were held. You said a few days later. Let's see. That taping took place on February 23rd. So you said a couple days later. Let's see.
Well, that was the couple days later. The first one was the 21st.
Oh, the 21st. That was 21st. March WrestleMania 10. You're right. At the Mid-Hudson Civic Center in Poughkeepsie. So a much more recognizable venue for the WWF at that time. So, but as we know,
the one was in one was in like a legit high school gym. It looked like.
I was going to say
you can see the basketball hoops.
Yeah, that's Loch Sheldrick. You got to remember also, and Suze could vouch for this. From like 93 to probably early 96, Vince was kind of like Vince is now, apparently with penny pinching. Most of the venues in that stretch were, think of all the Raws that were at, the fuck was that place, Suze? Fernwood Gully or Fern Gully?
Fern Gully.
Fern Gully, yeah.
It was the animated version, yeah.
Wherever the hell it was. But they were very rarely, honestly, other than pay-per-views, and maybe when they would go to Poughkeepsie or New Haven or my venue, my place, or even Worcester, a lot of like Raws and stuff were at these little rinky-dink, like they look like airplane hangars, really.
Yeah.
How things were at that time. Vince's payroll was not as great as as we think it is now. Who knows? But it wasn't until probably 96, definitely by 97, when the real Raw that we all know actually started. Most of these shows were in these little rinky-dink. Like bomb shelter kind of looking places.
Yeah.
So
what's the venue? They used it a lot in '96, where there's like an office or like an upper room that you can kind of see off in the corner a lot of times. Do you know what I'm talking about? A lot of times the Raw band would perform kind of somewhere up there. Does that ring a bell?
It's probably one of these. The place in Pennsylvania that they used to do a lot at, I think, not Bethlehem. That's an actual venue. The place itself was called, oh God, it was some like resort that had like a dance hall or some shit.
Okay.
But it's hard to say. They did tapings in Poughkeepsie, then they did Lowell a lot, White Plains. I can't think of the specific place with the office. I kind of know what you're talking about. I have it in my head. Mm-hmm. But, they would do Utica a lot, Syracuse. They were in upstate New York a ton. But the place you're thinking of, Burlington maybe? Burlington, Vermont maybe? I don't know.
That could be. That kind of sounds familiar.
Yeah. I'm trying to look for the place that had the little office thing, or the place in Pennsylvania. Anyway, a lot of these places, very small. They were doing shows in high schools. So 93 through early 96 was a tough time for Vince in terms of trying to book big buildings. They were kind of avoiding it except for the pay-per-views. So
yeah, I was getting sort of a ECW vibe just from
definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, you're dead on with that.
Yeah.
No, there's no doubt. Definitely.
Which I enjoy. I enjoy that. Yeah. I like this sort of rinky-dink sort of
pretty much what it is.
Presentation. I don't know.
Heating pipes hanging from the ceiling.
I'm kind of into it, honestly.
Leaks.
So, getting into the show, we have Vince and Johnny Polo as one half of our commentating team, and later we'll meet another half. They talk about a little bit about the card. They talk about how Randy Savage has been barred from the arena, and because he's a wild card, he's dangerous, and we don't need any more nonsense from Randy Savage ever, obviously. And then Gorilla and Stan Lane are our other commentators. Which team do you guys prefer on this night? Vince and Johnny, Gorilla and Stan.
I will always go Vince.
Same.
No matter who his partner is or who is on the other team. I will always go Vince.
Gorilla every day. Every day.
We'll get to it later, but I found Johnny Polo annoying as shit, so I'm going
Monsoon
and Stan Lane. Oh my god!
It took me about halfway through the show to figure out exactly.
Me too.
What was going on?
I was like, "Is that a thing?" Like, I didn't know if that was a thing or not, and I'm like, "What are these goddamn sound effects? What is happening?"
It's like replacing. It was like replacing Bobby meter or whatever, the telestrator thing. Yeah. Boy, Vince, however, we're talking about Vince's wallet, but Vince really splurged for this show. He did not one, but two green screens.
Oh, my God. It was so obvious.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. It was bad.
But he fired up, too, because the way that Gorilla and Stan Lane's green screen were, it looked like they were levitating. Because there's really not a place to have that fucking desk. It was like they were hanging over that light, the great 92 to 95 light entrance. So...
and I mean that's obviously something that would be hidden better in '94 without high def. But holy crap, did it look awful?
It looked ridiculous. They literally looked like they were on like a levitating something or other. But
Gorilla,
and Vince was very delicate in holding his microphone. Did you guys notice that?
Jesus!
Like
a madman,
like a champagne flute.
He was holding like a bottle, like a glass of fine Pinot. Crazy.
Gotta aerate the microphone before you use it.
Yeah.
Gotta grab that sucker.
So delicate. I always think of the word delicate when I think of Vince McMahon, for sure. And then the way that Gorilla was like positioned, like with Stan, he was kind of like over his shoulder, kind of like hunched over him. It was very odd.
Yes, they were definitely snuggling.
Super weird. Like, why are they sitting that way? Anyway.
To be the worst, like not only was the green screen a fucked up angle, but why did they have themselves turned as if they were like canoodling or something?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is going on there?
So weird.
It's terrible.
So our first matchup of the night is Lex Luger, Drew, versus Jimmy
Del Rey.
Okay. James Del Rey.
Gigolo.
Gigolo and Jimmy Del Rey. Yeah. Okay. He's announced by Cornette, which is fun. I always like hearing from old Corny myself. His Del Rey's robe is a sight. Does he normally dress this way?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Heavenly bodies.
Heavenly bodies.
Heavenly
Gotcha.
bodies. Yep.
His body is
Heavenly.
It's
Far
a
from
word,
heavenly.
but heavenly is not the word that I would use to describe it.
What, you didn't like the gyrations on his part?
The gyrations were okay.
You could almost hear his hips creak as he was doing it.
So, it was heavenly frosting, is what it looked like.
And the crowd is like super insane for Lex Luger right now.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, like, USA, USA chants throughout basically the whole match. He is out there. Del Rey comes with Corny and Tom Pritchard, which I wanted to call Bruce Pritchard for some reason the entire time, but it's not.
They are brothers.
And so there's a lot of interference in this match with Pritchard working on Lex when the ref's back is turned, of course. He chokes him on the bottom rope. He does a bunch of other bullshit on the outside when Lex gets thrown out. And it's funny because I'm predisposed to not like a Lex Luger match, but actually I did enjoy him a lot in this. I thought he did really well selling what Del Rey was giving him, especially when he was working on the back at points. And but then eventually he gets a big power slam on Del Rey and racks him for the win. And then Lex gets Corny's tennis racket and spanks him in the ass with it, which I really did enjoy too. And it was a fun, chaotic match with fucking wild, insane crowd. Vince screaming, Polo screaming, and playing sound effects. It was like sensory overload, this match. A little bit overwhelming. But not bad. Actually, a pretty great choice for opener. I gave it 2.5 stars. Drew, what did you think about this one?
Oh, it's awesome, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, 5-star match, easy.
Yes.
Hose in those tacos.
Crack.
No, I did really enjoy this. The chaotic feeling with Cornette and Jimmy Del Rey stalling at the beginning and Dr. Tom on the side. I mean, it felt like, and then, added to the atmosphere, it felt like a Smoky Mountain match or something almost, And yeah, I mean, Luger, I will say this. So I think this is the second time that we've seen Luger because he was in the War Games match that we watched. And both times, Jenny, you have said, I don't like Lex Luger, but oh boy, I really liked him here. Both times.
I don't recall saying that at all, Jenny.
Yes, I wrote it down in my diary.
That feels like fake news.
in my diary. Which is a book with a locket and Lex Luger's face in a heart. So.
Yes.
You have a lot of cheek leakage in this, so that's probably why I said that. His cheekage was pretty pronounced.
No, but this was good. I mean, this was it was good because Lex is a power guy, obviously, and Jimmy Del Rey. The right thing to do in that circumstance is kind of beg off and do some stalling and bounce off Luger for all of his big moves, which he did. Mm-hmm. I thought Lex, I mean, I don't know how much we want to get into this, but the, American-made Lex Luger, not a great run. Although I think it's actually, I've watched pretty much the whole thing. He's a lot better than people give him credit for in the ring, but I mean, it's just not. This is not his strength. Being like a smiling, high-fiving, USA babyface that's not his strong suit. But I don't know how much of this was piped in crowd noise, but you could see in the back, behind him and in the crowd, the people were jumping up and down and chanting USA. I mean, he was getting a big reaction. And I thought babyface charisma, not his strong point, at least in this way. But he fed off the crowd pretty well, especially towards the end, like with the tennis racket, I mean, he was really feeling it. I thought he didn't have to have as much intensity and work as well as he did in this match, and he did. He kind of rose to the occasion, and I really enjoyed it. And again, Jimmy Del Rey is a good wrestler, and this was a perfect guy to put him in the ring with for this circumstance when you're building to WrestleMania and you're trying to really get Lex Luger, over, get him a strong win. Mm-hmm. And I think it was very good for what it was.
You agree, Matt?
Yeah, it was good for what it was. It was pretty basic, but it worked for what they were trying to do. And like you said, it was sensory overload with the USA chants and the Johnny Polo soundboard and Luger spanking Cornette in the ass with a tennis racket. And I'm surprised, Drew, you didn't mention that we get a world-famous Lex Luger howl after a Del Rey punch.
Well, yeah. I think that's a foregone conclusion. Because it was loud. It was like right in the mic, like he swallowed the damn microphone. I think in general we get a howl after every move that either Lex Luger does to an opponent or an opponent does to him. So,
but this was fine for what it was.
Scott,
it's funny. I think I remember watching this when JR and I were doing our written stuff on the site a while back when we were going through this run. So I'm trying to remember if I'd actually seen this before. I know I didn't see the March to WrestleMania 9. This one seems familiar, but probably not really. But one thing I do remember, or I gathered from it today, and I'll get more into it when we get to the Bret match later on. Luger was clearly positioned, at least from here, as the guy that's going to win the title at WrestleMania 10.
Yeah.
I definitely felt like they were leaning the Luger-Yoko dynamic, because Yoko comes out after, obviously, walks up the aisle after the match, and I definitely felt like he was the one that was going to win the belt. And I don't know if they were doing that just because that match was first the following Sunday, but Luger definitely was coming off as like the guy going into WrestleMania 10, not Bret in any way. Bret, obviously they were focusing more on Bret's feud, and we'll get more into that later, but Luger definitely was. I mean, Drew, talk about overload. Drew was overloading probably in 1994 while watching this because you could have thought that Luger was winning the belt at the Garden because it was crazy. The match was fine. It was better than I thought. And as Drew said, as jiggling Jimmy Del Rey is, he's actually not a bad hand. I mean, I think if Dr. Tom wrestled, we would have got a better match because he's a better wrestler than Jimmy Del Rey. But it was fine. Crowd was hot, and that's all that matters. Vince and Johnny were selling it like crazy, and that was their job. That's what this show was meant to do, was to get any last people to spend the what was it, 35, I think, for WrestleMania 10. Those last purchases. It served its purpose, but I mean, clearly, it felt like when this moment and when we get to the end, that Luger was the guy that was going to take the belt and win 2 matches. The following week. I mean, it was the way that it was laid out. It seemed that way, but as a whole, the match was fine. Luger does his best with whatever he's doing, but he's just a better heel. He's just better at being a scumbag than he is a hero. That's pretty clear.
He's not a likable person.
No,
he's not at all.
And he does not exude that in any way. I think the one exception is in '88, his '88 face run, after he leaves the Horsemen, where he's kind of like what's the Seinfeld episode with Tony the male bimbo? He's like a male bimbo where he's kind of goofy and he's always ripping his shirt off and flexing, and his promos are very kind of funny and laughable. And a lot of high energy stuff, and that's where he works as a babyface, because that's closer to who he is. Despite JR claiming that he has a 3.78 grade point average, he's not he doesn't present himself as a very intelligent person. But yeah, I mean, he's just not a likable person. And I mean, the Lex Express thing, that was no big success, and it was just a wrong choice for him, and you could see that. I mean, he's doing his best here, and I mean, the crowd is behind him.
I was going to say, tell it to the crowd. They were pretty into it.
Well, and you know what? I mean, they're very into him through the whole year. I mean, into '95. With the '95 stuff I've been watching, I mean, he's popular, but I don't know. I remember. This is maybe something that is a little bit beyond kind of our understanding. I remember Steve Austin talking about an instance where he was in Gorilla with Vince, and somebody went out. I don't remember who. Somebody went out and got this huge pop, and Austin commented on it like, "Oh man, what a huge pop! That's great." And Vince said, "Yeah, I hope he gets over." So, there's clearly a difference between being over, at least the way Vince sees it, and getting a big pop. So, I don't think Luger would have been very successful as the champion, as this big mega babyface, made in America Lex Luger, but he wasn't really given the chance to, I guess, despite what they're presenting here. And I don't know. I know that leading up to WrestleMania, there was a lot of changes and a lot of discussion and back and forth on whether or not he was going to win. So at this point, when they filmed it in February, probably the plan was to have him win. And even when this aired, it could have been the plan, and they just changed. I don't know.
Well, the rumor's always been that they filmed stuff with him with the world title around his waist, right? Isn't that stuff out there somewhere?
Yeah,
oh, really?
It is. Yeah, it is. Yep.
It might be on the network, actually.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he just oozes heel But there's definitely here it definitely is coming off as, and again, I think they were doing that on purpose, obviously, that he was the guy that was going to win the following week, and shit was going to go down. So anyway, it was a good match, and the crowd is fired up, and we're in for a good evening of action.
All right, speaking of action. Next match, Bam Bam Bigelow versus Ben Jordan, whoever the fuck that is, a nobody apparently.
You said it was Jason Jordan's father. Jordan's father.
I thought Jason Jordan's father was correct.
Oh, that's right. Forgive me, Sylvie.
Yeah. Ben Jordan, whoever the hell he is.
We've switched to Gorilla and Stan on commentary for this match. And Luna is there with Bigelow ringside, going nuts, looking crazy as fuck. And this is basically just a squash. I mean, he beats the fuck out of this guy. It's pretty fun to watch, to be honest with you. I like Bam Bam. This is not as good of a match as we saw for the previous episode when we did March WrestleMania 9, which we really enjoyed Bam Bam's match then. So this is basically just a suplex, a side headlock, and then he drops his fucking face head first there onto the rope and then pins him for the win. So not much really to say here about Bam Bam. What do you think, Scott?
It was just an effective squash. Obviously, they were pumping up the match with Doink and Dink the following week. So there was this is pretty easy squash, and I mean it is a downgrade for Bigelow because a year earlier he was fighting Taker. So who, by the way, just to let everyone know, absent because he was selling his death in essence. So
death number one.
He was selling death number one. So this was the first of only 2 Manias since 1991 that Taker would not be at. Anyway, again, simple squash. Bigelow's awesome. Pretty cut and dry. Half star.
Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, Bam Bam nearly killed this poor bastard with that stun gun at the end before he pinned him. Jesus, I think his head landed in Times Square. But simple squash.
Drew?
I agree with you guys. Something that was very striking was just you go from the sensory overload, just wild, chaotic scene of the Lex match and him waving the flag around and the John Philip Souza march going to just this very kind of sad beating of this poor jobber. And there's a shot of Bam Bam, his face and his facial expression, and it's just these dead eyes just staring at the crowd. And it's like, oh God, while he's beating the guy up, it's very effective and awesome. Mm-hmm. It's very cool.
Yeah, I'm a Bam Bam fan, so it was fun. So next we get a video of Alundra Blaze doing some workouts and standing on the beach. Funny how there's no women's match on this March, even though there's going to be a women's match at WrestleMania 10. Why is there no women's match on this show?
I don't know. And they should have made a point. They should have made a point to say that Leilani Kai, who Alundra was facing for the title, she was defending the title against her at WrestleMania 10, that Leilani Kai was going to be the first, the only person to have wrestled at WrestleManias 1 and 10. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Fink was at both, but he doesn't count because he's not a wrestler. But and they didn't really pump that up. I thought they would, and they didn't. Although I don't think anybody. I mean, I was going to miss Cyndi Lauper calling her Lanny Kai, skipping like 9 syllables in her name. But Lanny Kai. But I don't know. I don't know why. I would have had Leilani Kai squash like some scrub.
You would
pump
think
up
so.
the build the title match. Yeah.
I guess the video...
I will say,
Go ahead.
I will say, if you need to train that hard for a match with Leilani Kai in 1994, maybe you're not as good as everybody thinks you are. Just saying.
Well, she spent a lot of time at the beach, too, in that video, working on her tan, so it wasn't all...
And wearing a Stevie Ray Vaughan hat.
Yeah. They do a short video of the Luger Bret Yoko story. Then we go back to Vince and Polo. Vince claims that the WWF has more than half of the greatest pay-per-view events of all time. Okay. And then they go to a Tatanka video promo. Like, it's this whole production is so very weird. So it's like Johnny and Vince, and they're doing the remote interview with Tatanka. He's backstage in his headdress, and then he cuts his like awkward promo on Yoko. Yeah, it was very stilted and not very good. Any thoughts on this at all?
It was very, very strange how low budget this looked.
Yes.
You could see, I don't know what, if the black curtain with the PVC pipe was supposed to be the background and they just framed it wrong. or if that was like an entrance or something, but it was very, very strange. You could see the cinder blocks, of the walls of the gym wall or whatever. It looked like a Memphis, like a local Evansville promo setting where it's Mike Awesome in 1990, stuttering his way through a promo in front of some cinder blocks. It was, I don't know, this whole thing was very odd. I mean, the whole production, like you said, Jenny, it felt very un-WWF to me. I mean, this isn't an area an era that I'm very familiar with, but it was jarring.
That headdress is jarring.
It was definitely very ECW'd.
Yeah.
Very ECW.
Yeah, ECW, that's a great description. That's
it was
the perfect
very ECW.
description. Yeah.
Well, all right. So our next match is Razor Ramon versus Tommy DeVito, who they don't even name. Like, it took me half the match to get this guy's name. Because, I mean, I don't recognize him, obviously. Who's Tony DeVito? Any clue?
Career job guy, as far as
just a job guy.
And he would eventually be in ECW way down the line.
Yeah.
Like,
but he's just a job guy,
right before they closed up down the line.
Well, he gets his shit pushed in by Razor.
He sure does. My God.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he does. Yep.
Gorilla and Stan again on commentary. They talk about everything else except for this match. I mean, which is fine, because it's just a beatdown of this poor guy, Danny DeVito's cousin, Tony. And it's just constant talk about Razor and Shawn, the ladder match, the IC title, just on and on, basically. Like, they barely even, like, acknowledge that they're watching anything. He gets a superplex, of course, a nasty Razor's Edge, and gets the pin. So, really just a chance to talk about Shawn Michaels for the most part. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, because clearly Shawn, we wouldn't see him. So it worked out. I was curious to see what color Razor would wear on this evening. I was hoping for the alternate green or banana yellow, but tonight he went with the home purple.
I like the purple.
I like the purple too. I was a big Razor guy in this period. Good character. And it was funny how Gorilla and Stan got the squashes, and Vince and Polo got like the matches that were longer than a minute and a half. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Vince. I wonder who got to pick that. Yeah. But it was good. It was a fine squash, and they needed that was the match that technically that was in a show that had a lot of great mid-card matches, and not a defined main event per se, they really were pumping up Razor and Shawn as like the thing on that Sunday. So it worked. It was effective marketing for that one.
What do you think, Drew?
So Shawn wasn't on the March to WrestleMania 9, and he wasn't on this one either. Is that just a coincidence, or is there any reason for that?
That's a good question.
I don't think so. I think it's just a coincidence.
I think he's like too much of an asshole to show up for this fucking shit in this gym and upstairs.
Well, yeah.
You want me to go where in March?
Fuck you, Vince.
Really? Lock?
Yeah, I'm not going to Lock Sheldrake.
What the fuck is a lock sheldrake?
A bar with Marines in it? No.
Johnny Polo, I'm out.
I wonder if he was on this. I wonder if he was there and wrestled in like a dark match or something.
Fuck no.
Yeah.
A dark match on the March to WrestleMania, like fucking low rent show.
Oh my God, this is tremendous. On a side note, on the some of the dark matches, Bill DeMott, who would eventually be, of course, Hugh Morris, was Crash the Terminator. That's his name. This is even better. This is even better.
It's Mark Laurinaitis.
Yeah, pre-Duke the Dumpster, his name was Rocco Gibraltar.
Ah.
That was gonna be Jenny's name at the hotel in Tampa.
What?
Rocco Gibraltar. Anyway, that was pretty funny. I don't see Shawn anywhere. He was not in the building. I ain't going to no Lock Sheldrake. Yeah, he was definitely not there.
Either that or he was in rehab, one or the other.
I was going to say.
Or one of the, yeah, exactly. I'm looking at the Poughkeepsie half, and nope, don't see him there either. Yeah, no, he wasn't on either. Yeah, no, he wasn't on either. So he wasn't even in the building. He legitimately wasn't even in the building. Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the only other comment I have is Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, one of my top 3 favorite physiques in wrestling history.
Yeah, agreed.
He's so big. You always forget how big he really is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a monster.
yeah, big dude.
Yeah,
So cut.
and hairy too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's like Magnum
Sure is.
TA.
He did. Yeah, Magnum TA, exactly. Quite her suit.
You have any thoughts on this one, Matt?
No, Razor killed this fucking guy again, and just some of those chops he was hitting him with in the corner, fucking destroying him.
Yeah.
And sent one of his nipples into the third row. But
he was missing a nipple at the end of the match.
Yeah. Some lucky fan gets a nice souvenir.
I got Danny DeVito's nipple. That's great.
What the hell is that in my beer?
All right. Well, the next thing that we see is a interview with Johnny Polo in the ring with Owen Hart. The camera gets super close on Owen's face, and Owen cuts a promo on Bret. And then the crowd chants, "We want Bret" at Owen. And, well, it was all right. Owen talks super close. That was, like, throwing me off quite a bit, because you could, like, see up his nostrils, Like, why are we this close to Owen Hart right now? But it was all right for what it was. Any thoughts on this promo?
It was solid. Owen was definitely coming into his own. And at the time, you really didn't think he had a shot. And this was just a step over. Mm-hmm. But he was working it.
They really do look very much alike in the face. Like, I mean, I know they're brothers, but I just never realized how much they look like each other.
Yes.
Basically, Bret with blonde hair.
At least he looked like Bret and not Bruce.
Yeah. Yeah, really. Bret and Owen are the better looking of the Hart boys.
The
The rest of them all look like zoo animals.
Bruce's face needed spackle at the age of like 27.
Yes. And Keith just looked like I don't know. He looked like Gollum with a mustache. I mean, it seems not good.
Johnny Everyman.
All right, I don't know whether y'all are gonna laugh or not at this, but the next one is a video with I wrote Johnny Be Bad. And then later on I was like, wait a minute, I think that was Little Richard.
No, Johnny B. Bad was more talented than
you were only off by 2 years, but that's okay.
I know. I knew when I wrote it that it was wrong, but like I don't know, it cracked me up. But he does a little
So
video.
glad you kept.
Oh God, it was. So, I was like, I'm gonna keep this anyway.
Johnny B. Bad. You thought that they spliced in like a WCW Saturday Night commercial or something.
It's so amazing how much they look alike. It's just, I mean, I know that's his whole thing, but like seeing it like that just totally threw me off. It was funny. It cracked me up.
This whole show is your before and after photos.
Yeah.
Like Johnny B. Bad, Little Richard. Man, how did Little Richard steal Johnny B. Bad's gimmick?
So the next match is another fun squash. Earthquake versus the Executioner. Gorilla and Stan, of course, get this one as well. The crowd loves them some Earthquake, as they should, because he looks awesome.
Yes, he does.
And he just basically throws the Executioner around the ring for a little bit. At one time, like literally throws him halfway across the ring. Just tosses him. Looks amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He does a sick power slam, and then jumps off the rope and sits on him to get the win. So pretty much nothing, but always fun to watch Earthquake destroy dudes. What do you think, Matt?
Well, the Executioner lasted longer than Adam Bomb would at WrestleMania, so he's got that going for him. And probably the least threatening Executioner in the history of everything.
Yeah, he didn't execute anything during this match, did he?
I mean, his body looked like leaves in a hefty bag. But
do you know who that is?
Who is it?
Future WCW Cruiserweight Champion Dwayne Gill.
Oh.
Oh, God.
Gilberg.
Oh.
Well, future WWF Light Heavyweight Champion as well. Yeah.
Did you look that up, or did you just know that in your brain?
Oh, no, that's what I meant. Gilberg, well, he did eventually go to WCW, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, but he didn't win the Cruiserweight belt, though.
Yeah, right, yeah. Sorry, I meant Light Heavyweight
Yeah.
Champion. Yeah. No, I had to look it up. I wish
good.
I just knew that, but no, I had to look it up.
No, I'm glad
someone
that
knows that offhand. I
that would be very disturbing to me if you just knew that from like your knowledge. I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on this one, Drew?
Earthquake, maybe one of the best squash match wrestlers of all time.
Yes.
He's so awesome.
He's so awesome.
Yeah.
His belly it's a thing.
I didn't know he was still in WWF in 1994. But I was thrilled to see him. And he's still good. He's great. That's all.
Scott?
He is, maybe you should get some of that Luger love off and put it on somebody who actually deserves it, because Earthquake was
Luger
just
love,
as
gross.
Oh, he got his Luger love off, all right.
Anyway, Earthquake looked awesome here. He always looks happy to be a babyface, and I'm pretty sure, Drew, he lasts throughout the end of the year. He's definitely in WCW in '95.
Of course, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, no, this is a good squash here. Good chance to put him over. He's in isn't he part of that 10-man? I think he's part of that 10-man tag that never happens at WrestleMania 10, I think.
Earthquake?
It never happens. What do you mean?
No, he wrestles Adam Bomb at 10.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of Yeah, Jenny, there's a 10-man tag match that's supposed to happen at WrestleMania 10, but they all argue, and I think it was a time constraints thing, so they just did it the next night on Raw.
Isn't Diesel in that? Or am I totally missing that?
Jarrett's in it.
Oh, Jarrett. That's who I was
Diesel's not in it because Diesel gets booted from the
ladder match.
From the ladder match.
Okay. You know, I've never seen WrestleMania 10.
Me either.
That is a crime against humanity.
I know, really, seriously. Why are we even here?
I watched it a month ago.
I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, Jenny and I are getting excited. We're on the march to WrestleMania 10, so we're gonna watch that next.
And you absolutely do.
Good. It's better than WrestleMania 9.
Yes,
I
and
doubt
11.
that, sir.
Yeah, it's no, I love watching Earthquake. It's pretty awesome.
He's so fast.
Happy. And John Tenta just always looks happy. Like, that guy just loved wrestling. Mm-hmm. That's the one thing I will always love about Earthquake. I think he just loved being out there. Really fun.
Well, he loved beating the shit out of people, apparently, and sitting.
Yeah, hell he did. Hell yeah, he did. Best skullet ever.
Todd Pettengill has the WrestleMania report segment for us this time. He tells us it is brought to us by the History of WrestleMania magazine. Did you guys have a History of WrestleMania magazine?
Yes, I did. Yes. I had that magazine. Yep.
I was 3, so I'm going to go with no.
All right, well. Smart ass. Todd is very into the celebrity of WrestleMania, and so he runs down all the celebrities. It's like the Academy Awards of wrestling, he compares it to. And the celebrities include Burt Reynolds, Jenny Garth, Little Richard or Johnny B. Bad, Rhonda Shear, and many others. Such a random assortment of people.
It is the Academy of Awards.
That list really ended with a thud with Donnie Wahlberg and Cy Sperling.
Donnie Wahlberg, yeah. All right.
Sure.
I was pretty excited to see Jenny Garth pop up.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I'm currently right in the middle of her cocaine struggles on season 6 of 90210.
Season 6?
Nice.
Yeah.
She's such a twat on that one.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I hate Billy Taylor, so.
Oh my god. And what's his name?
Colin.
What a douche. Mm-hmm. Oh, I wanted David to just fucking slug him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What a fucking prick. Oh.
Yeah. I remember vividly the episode from when I was little and watching it, the episode where Kelly goes to the dealer's house and then gets trapped inside and almost...
Oh, yeah, and then she's got to, be ready to blow him or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. She has to hit the guy with the wine bottle to escape.
Yep.
Yeah,
the best
I just
part
watched
about
that one the other night.
The best part about the Kelly Coke storyline, not to go off the rails here, but because Jenny Garth was so pale, they really jazzed up the red nostril Coke thing and her fucking dark eyes.
And the dark eyes.
Yeah, she was the best on that show. If Shannon was still on that show, maybe. But Jenny was the best to coke up on that show because she was so pale, so the makeup worked 3 times as good.
Yeah, and they darken her hair a little bit too.
Oh yeah, they did.
I don't know if that's just coincidence or not, but it just adds to the whole thing.
I wonder if she's coked up at WrestleMania 10. Probably.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah. Todd talks about Lex versus Yoko, and then Bret versus Owen. Bret faces the winner of Lex and Yoko. Cornette and Yoko do a promo. He talks a little bit about Savage versus Crush. A little bit about Razor Ramon versus Shawn. So basically just kind of running down the card, whatever. And then Mom versus Quebecers for the tag title. Not much here. Just Todd being weird with his earring. Okay.
His one earring.
Classic
Todd.
Yep.
The 90s.
So
Can't
hard.
Finish it.
So hard being a white guy when you're not cool and you try to be cool and you get a one earring. Still doesn't work. And then
see, like David Silver, he got 2 earrings and was cool.
Exactly. And he took Speed.
Yeah.
And he made music, so he was cool.
Yeah. Girl.
I think that was the season too, 94, 95. Was that season? Because it was season 4, because that was when they were freshmen at Cal U. So it might have been around this time that the David on Speed storyline was happening. So it would fit.
Yeah.
Him on Speed, Kelly on Coke. Oh, this is great.
Was she maybe she was a method actor. That's why she was high at WrestleMania 10.
There you go.
Or she was a meth actor. One or the other.
Oh, Lord. Next up, Polo interviews Bret Hart with a weird-ass background. It's a Bret Hart.
I got flashbacks during that.
Yeah, that was weird. Bret Hart is just, Bretting all over this promo, and he is what he is. Owen. I love the way he says Owen.
Owen.
And
No one in the Hart family uses vowels. Owen. Brother Owen.
Owen Hart.
And he says something, but the quote that I wrote down was like something about something about beating me, and then he's like, and they seldom ever do that. And I'm like, what?
Beating me. We seldom ever beat me, Owen.
It's like Google Translate gone wrong.
I mean, he just
Owen,
he just spouts his catchphrases. Best there is, blah blah blah. It's just very Bret, and it's fine. What do you guys think about this?
Something he said Owen was beating his meat.
Everybody talks about beating the excellence of execution. Everybody talks about beating Bret Hart, but they seldom ever do it. It's like, what? That's not shit talking at all.
Oh, God.
Learn how to
Owen, you'll
talk.
never be able to pin my shoulders to the mat.
With the mat, eh? Oh, when I used to fight with Bruce and Keith and Owen. The more he'd talk about it, the less Owen's letter name would be more like an O and then like half a W. Owen.
It's eventually just a drone sound.
Yeah, my brother.
Used to fight over the last scone at the hot compound.
Used to take my donut at Tim Hortons. Bret, yeah, it was just that background. It was like monitors, but it was like video drone monitors.
Yeah.
It was like warping out and and that was more intriguing than the Bret promo, to be honest.
Oh my God!
I got flashbacks to the Team Challenge series.
Yeah, when I took on Jake Milliman, a typical Bret promo, just lots of words, and that's it.
He's so dead in the eyes. Just
yeah, he kind of does. He kind of does that.
There's no fire. I don't know. He tries, but I just never buy it. All right,
Can I defend him for? Can I defend Bret's promos for a second?
Go right ahead.
I actually think his promos, content aside, sometimes I think they fit his character pretty perfectly. I don't think it would. Yeah, I don't think it would work very well if he was a really fired up, outgoing, high energy promo. Because that's not, his whole thing is his excellence of execution. He presents himself like an athlete, like this is a real sport, a serious thing. I think it works very well for what his gimmick is,
I guess that's fair enough.
Wrestling Terminator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I did like that he said, I'm wearing this jacket, and it's a leather jacket with the old-timey general tassels and pads on.
That's so Bret, yeah.
Yeah, he's wearing that because he's a ring general.
He's a ring general.
Oh.
I'm glad that he has to tell you that that's the reason why he's wearing that,
The reality is he just likes tassels.
Yes, and leather. I don't know. I don't disagree with you. I mean, that makes sense to me. It's just not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
fair enough.
The back of his jacket should say, seldom not excellent, eh? He's got to have seldom in it now, so.
I just think that, I don't know, it's funny. The word seldom in a promo just kind of I don't know. Trips me out.
Fantastic.
Anyway, before we continue, I want to talk real quick about what we have going on right here on the Place to Be Nation Wrestling feed. On the Place to Be podcast number 546, you, Scott, and JT welcome first-time guest Sean Kidd to review and discuss the 9/21/90 MSG House Show. That was a fun show. Sean did a good job.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, man, he did very well.
Also, you guys did main event number 146, you and Nate and Steve, where you booked a one-night show version of WrestleMania 36. And then you went back to 2002 for one of the worst shows in TNA history. How was that?
Pretty bad. Very offensive. Drew would have loved it.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Incredibly offensive. TNA was a client you needed to visit. Let's put it that way. Rough.
Scott,
check it out.
You were busy. You had another show with the NWA Saturday Special with a look at New Year's Clash 2019. How was that?
It was excellent. Dr. G and I are doing our best to keep the NWA flame going while they're having their, obviously, how they've got to deal with what's going on right now. And we've got a great show coming up this weekend as well. This one's a topical one. We're not reviewing a show. We are going to review a show in a couple weeks, but we'll be doing a topical show this weekend asking a question about the 10 pounds of gold. So every Saturday morning drops on PlaceToBeNation.com and on the feed. So check it out.
Sweet. Me and Tim Capel and Greg Phillips, we did an episode of Talkin' WCW in which we discussed Battle Bowl, the Lethal Lottery. That was a lot of fun and a lot of chaos in that episode, so check it out. Row 1, Seat 1 features superfans Tiffany and Sean to discuss the impact of independent wrestling on their lives. The Special Relations are back with episode number 6 featuring me and you, Scott, making up all of the Destination Wrestling feed.
Owning the feed, baby.
Yeah, we talked underrated WrestleManias, a segment that they do called My Happy Place, which is really fun. And then we did a live watch of my favorite match, which I enjoyed quite a bit because, I never get to watch that unless I watch it 3 times a day. And then there's a new show called Seen Your Video. The first episode is UK Rampage 1993. It is with host Rory McNamara. Hey, I said it correctly.
You did.
And he has Callum McDougall on that episode. So new content for the feed as well. I haven't listened to that yet, but I heard it was pretty good.
I started listening to it today. It's excellent. It's very good. Those guys are great. Definitely check it out.
And so you can also find our Place to Be Nation pop feed with shows like Glenn Butler Podcast Hour Spectacular, Diamond Conversations, It Was a Thing on TV, The Year in Pop, Laughing Theater, The Great Debate, Marvel Age, and many more, including some new stuff that's coming out. We will talk about that a little bit later. While you're at it, you can subscribe to my feed. It's called The Jenny Position. You can find Geek and Sassy, Talking Pop, Freak Out Driving, Telling Stories, The Journey Through Infinity, and more on there. Also, you can find JT Rosero's new podcast feeds called North-South Connection, where Wrestling Warzone, No Holds Barred, The Extreme Three-Way Dance, Jeff Learns Wrestling, and more live now. They have also had a lot of new content coming out as well on that feed. Mm-hmm. So rate and review both of those. We would appreciate it. We also have kicked off our 2020 stretch project, determining the greatest WCW match ever. So you can do your research. You can find us on Facebook for that, GWCW matches, or on the Pro Wrestling Only message board. I've actually been doing research on that. Mm-hmm. Pretty proud of myself for that. Not that I'll remember any of it, but anyway. You can also see on our social media pages that the Greatest Sports Logo of 2020 tournament is over, and the winner was the Chicago Bulls. Mm-hmm. How do you guys feel about that result?
It was definitely an upset, I think. I mean, the Bulls logo is awesome, but like a lot of good logos, like the Yankees, the Lakers, a lot
Bruins.
of Bruins. I know the further in the tournament the Penguins went, the more my fucking seldom skin crawled. My skin crawled when they see the Penguins, eh? But the Celtics made a good run there, Susie. So
Yes, they did.
Kind of an upset, but the Bulls are a solid logo. Always have been.
Now we're coming up on our next tournament, which will be junk food. Yeah. So this is much more in my wheelhouse than sports logos. I contend it should be called the Fat Shit Tournament.
Yeah, I said place to be fat shit. That's
place to be fat shit. So that'll have fun categories like cookies, salty snacks. I was trying to remember off the top of my head. Chips. I can't remember the other one.
I can't remember the fourth one either. Yeah.
But lots of fun stuff there. Any favorites for this one?
So you got like it's snack foods, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Does that include soda?
No.
Only food.
Only food. Well, then that I'll have to think about. Twinkies. That's got Twinkies or Hostess cupcakes. That has to be a favorite.
Yeah,
right?
I feel like anything Hostess / Little Debbie probably going to make it pretty far.
Cheetos.
Oreos is my pick for the win.
Oreos. That's a good call.
Yep.
Have you had those peanut butter Oreos? The peanut butter pie Oreos?
No, I have not.
Holy crap, are they good?
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a few Oreo alternates that are pretty solid, I have to say.
Do you guys remember the birthday cake Oreos?
Yes.
I think they still make those. I saw them at the store last week, yeah.
No, somebody bought them all. Right?
Birthday cake.
Birthday cake could be a snack. I think you should put it in there.
I don't know. Is it a snack?
No, it's a dessert.
Yeah.
Cake is a meal, I guess.
Yeah.
Tasty cakes is a snack.
My son loves Tasty Cake, mini chocolate, and powdered donuts.
You know what the Tasty Cake, my favorite one is the cream-filled coffee cakes.
The oatmeal sandwich ones is that Tasty Cake or is that Little Debbie?
That's Little Debbie.
That's Little Debbie.
Oh, those are so fucking good. Those
Yeah.
those oatmeal sandwich things. Those are fucking amazing.
I have some.
Devil dogs.
Good.
Oh, maybe you guys can answer this. Do you guys remember I was talking about this, I forgot what show it was. Maybe it might have been the other night with Andy, but what's the, I don't know if it was Drake or Hostess. It was 2 chocolate, like, cakes rectangles with, like, whipped cream in the middle. What the fuck were those called? I feel like it had a letter Q in it.
Suzy Q's.
Suzy Q's, right? It was Suzy Q's? I remember those.
Yeah, those are Hostess.
Those are deep underdogs. That's like a deep track
I've
there.
never heard of those.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
Amazing. Those are really
it's
good.
like it's like whoopie pies. They're rectangular.
Yeah, they're
It's
fucking
2
amazing.
cakes with whipped, like the cream filling, but it's not filled in the middle. It's like it's 2 separate
Sandwich.
pies, like a sandwich.
Yeah, it's a sandwich.
Yeah. And they recently started adding more of the filling to the middle. So it's they hit pretty hard. They're pretty good.
Stuffed.
This is easily placed to be fat shit.
Yeah.
I'm telling Andy, we're renaming it. Place
Also,
to be fat.
I feel like Christmas tree cakes, Little Debbie, is also probably in the mix too, because everybody loves some things.
So good. Yes.
Not to get the show even more off the rails, but I'm going to. But where do we stand on licorice? Red Vines or Twizzlers?
Twizzlers.
That hurts.
Whoa.
That hurts my heart. It's Red Vines.
Yeah,
Come
it's
on.
Red Vines.
Come on.
Twizzlers.
It's a texture thing with Twizzlers.
No.
Tastes like wax.
No, I used to have a whole Twizzlers thing. Like, I had an addiction, hardcore. Like,
Yeah,
No.
I love Twizzlers. I do.
Yeah.
No.
I can't find red vines anywhere up here. There's red vines in our neck of the woods, Suze? I didn't know.
Yeah, Target has them. Walmart, I've seen them at Target, Walmart. Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah. Just the red ones, not the grape ones.
right. Interesting.
And you guys have Drake's coffee cake.
Oh,
there,
those are
which
also
we
amazing.
do not have out here. Those those are a pretty special treat.
I
How about
don't think
Entenmann's?
I've ever had one. You know, Tim brought up Entenmann's too. On Talking WCW, I contend that's fancy. It's too fancy.
Like it's also
little,
breakfast
yeah.
food.
Yeah, it's like a breakfast food.
Yeah.
You can
But
actually categorize that as breakfast food.
the box of softies where it's the plain donuts, the powdered donuts, and the cinnamon powdered.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's really
Do
something.
we count donuts in general?
See, I'm not sure.
I think that feels like a whole other. That's like a breakfast thing, and that feels
That's
like
its
a
own
whole
tournament.
other deal. Yeah.
Donut is like fucking Kelly Taylor's Coke. That's how good donuts are. Donuts.
Yeah, pharmaceutical grade, as the dealer called it.
Exactly. Anyway,
Like the pharmacy's handing out Coke.
I know.
Yeah.
Coke donuts. Wait. If we can't use cake, then I guess we can't use the Cracker Barrel Coke cake.
No, we cannot.
Because that would just win. We wouldn't even have to do anything else. That just wins. So good. Do you Cracker Barrels where you are, Drew?
Dude, one opened up just in February. A little bit, a couple towns over.
I know there's one near you, Suze.
Yeah, there's one next to me. In Rhode Island, there's one.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to go to it
one.
yet, though.
Oh.
What's your meal? What's your meal, Drew, at Cracker Barrel?
The chicken fried steak breakfast. Because it has the hash brown casserole and I get the grits.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like me
Jenny
some
and the
chicken and dumplings and
Rice.
yeah.
The thing is, though, is out here, I don't know if I'll get the same experience because there's no smoking section at the one out here.
We don't have a smoking section.
You don't have a smoking section either.
See, I'm used to the ones with the smoking sections in Mississippi and Kentucky.
What does
Really?
the ash give it extra
How
taste?
stunning. Perfect sense. Next on the episode of Jenny and the Fat Shits, we're going to talk about the great lineup. We're going to talk Tim Hortons.
Remember
What kind
when
of cigarettes
people
do you
used to
like in your
smoke
eggs?
and
I'm one for
cigarette-
Lucky Strikes.
Yeah.
When people used to smoke in restaurants, that feels like so long ago to me.
It
Like,
really is.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I haven't been to a Cracker Barrel. I guess the last one would have been 4 years ago when I was in Alabama, and I don't remember if there was a smoking section.
No,
but,
there's not.
Okay. Well, I mean, before that, the last time I was in one was,
1980?
well, maybe.
Say, when was this?
I mean, into the 2000s, they had them in Kentucky.
That's amazing.
I'll say this: Waffle House seems like a place that still has smoking sections.
You
I
would
love
think
Waffle
so,
House.
but no.
Shame.
Fat Shit Central right there.
I mean, I used to, in high school, they used to have, cigarette machines in Waffle House. And that's how, when I was underage, I would go and put $5 of quarters into the Waffle House cigarette machine. And that's how I would smoke in high school. A fond memory.
Yeah. You didn't see that in the Northeast.
We just had our older brothers go in and get them.
Yeah, no shit.
Nobody's carding you putting $5 worth of quarters in for your Newport menthols. Waffle House. I promise you. I did that so many times.
Is this what happens to shows after you talk about a Bret Hart promo?
Yeah.
It's totally
We needed something to pick it up, damn it.
I feel like when we were talking about Battle Bowl : I feel Bret would say that. Oh, and
Battle Bowl,
when I take care of you at WrestleMania : X.
All right, I'll get us back on track here. Don't forget to check out PlayStation.com each and every day. We have new voices and fresh takes bringing you articles on topics in the world of wrestling, sports, and pop culture, including articles that may be obsolete pretty soon. Trent's SmackDown on Fox report this week in the WWE by John Crow, Paulie's perspective and Ben's unpopular opinion, and veteran columns like Glenn Butler's Wednesday at Walk Around the Web. Also, if you're doing online shopping, you can click on the Amazon banner on the right side of the Place to Be Nation homepage, and it takes you right to Amazon and helps us out with no cost to you. All right. We got through it. Good job, boys. I appreciate that. Next up, we have a match here. Crush versus Bret Hart. Yeah. Okay. So Vince and Polo are back for commentary on this match, and it goes a while. Like, it's 12 minutes and 41 seconds, but it feels much, much longer than that. Crush wants to do like the test of strength lock-up deal with holding hands is what I call it. But Bret does not want to do that, and he keeps begging off of it and refuses to do it. While Polo plays his sound effects throughout the entire match. My note says, what the shit are these sound effects? Because this was before I realized what was happening with the sound effects. The crowd is chanting for Bret, which is interesting. They're into Bret.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then they do a commercial break, which is a pet peeve of mine in any match, really. They trade punches for a while. Like, it just goes on and on. Like, it's... I don't want to say tedious, but...
But it's tedious.
But it's tedious. And, I mean... There's some funny stuff. Polo says that Bret's parents are too old to see the TV, which cracked me up quite a bit because they're talking about his match with Owen. Owen at 10. Crush goes to the top rope, but Bret moves before he can land that. Crush misses Bret at one point and clocks Fuji on the outside, knocks him down. Bret goes for the small package, but the ref is distracted with Fuji, so he doesn't get that. Owen comes in and tips them over. So Bret was supposed to win. The ref is distracted. He doesn't get the count. Owen comes in, knocks them, like kind of rotates them to where Crush is on top. Then the ref comes in, gets the 1, 2, 3, Crush wins. It was... I have conflicting emotions about this match. Like, I like the ending because it fucks Bret over. And there were some good things about it, but for the most part, it was just okay. Does anybody agree with me? What do you think, Scott?
I actually really like this match.
Really?
I gave it 3 stars. Yeah, I thought it was a good endurance battle. I think it's one of Crush's better TV matches. I like the upset result at the end. Yeah, match of the night for me. I'm not surprised your opinions of it, Jenny, based on how the match was going.
Right.
But I don't know. I liked it. I thought it had a good pace. I thought the crowd was definitely into it, and I'm glad Owen cost Bret the win. And this is kind of a hidden gem in one aspect. That means that going into what would be the main event of WrestleMania 10, Bret was on a losing streak. So they definitely painted the picture of Luger being the man going into WrestleMania because he was on fire and Bret was struggling. So, but I enjoyed the match actually. 3 stars for me.
I gave it 3 stars too, but it was like very reluctantly because I don't know.
Wow, really?
I have weird Bret feelings. I don't know. What do you think, Matt?
It was all right. You know, Crush has never been the best wrestler to begin with. His offense is pretty basic, but I thought it worked pretty well here. I thought Bret sold his punches and kicks pretty well, and you know, this was quite the far cry from Crush's octopus promo on a boat last time we were on the show.
I was going to mention that too. Like, where's that Crush? I like that Crush a lot better.
And it was at this point the Johnny Polo business really started to get on my nerves.
Yeah.
Like, all right, you hit the button, it makes a sound, we get it, move on. Like, you're trying to present this as being a serious match, and you got him playing gong noises and shit. What are we doing?
Toilet flushes.
Yeah. What
I
the
like
hell
the
are we
toilet
doing?
flush.
Jesus.
It was annoying Vince, and that was cracking me up.
Screw Vince, it was annoying me. But, yeah, it was fine. I didn't really care for the finish, but you know, I guess if they were presenting Lex Luger as being the guy going into Mania 10, I guess it makes sense. But it was fine.
Drew?
I'm more with you, Jenny. I didn't really care for it. I think so. I haven't seen as much Bret Hart as you guys have. One thing I do know and have seen in Bret Hart is that he tends to not put in a ton of effort a lot of times on TV matches. And that being the case, it's kind of up to his opponent to maybe carry a little bit more of the role and carry more of the load. And Crush is not necessarily the guy to do that. I thought like the opening, I mean, I love stalling in matches. I love Larry Zbyszko taking me to Larry Land every day of the week. But it was just stalling kind of for the sake of stalling, and no one was really selling it one way or another. And that's part of Bret's character. I get that, but it also doesn't necessarily make for something that's entertaining to watch. Yeah. So I don't know. It just felt very listless to me. The finish, I understand it. I guess with my mind watching it in retrospect, it's why are they? He's going to be the champion next week. Why are they having him lose the week before? But that's not really the right way. Obviously that's not the right way to view the match. So I do think it puts over more of the storyline between Owen and Bret again, rather than Bret chasing the title and Bret looking to be the champion going into Mania. So I didn't really care for this. I was surprised that it was only 12 minutes. It felt much longer.
Like about 8 minutes longer than that.
Yeah, no, it did feel that stalling at the beginning took forever.
Yeah, I will say that. No, it did feel longer. Yeah.
Then we go to a short little video that shows us Rhonda Shear from Up All Night. She hopes she can bump into Lex at WrestleMania 10 since she's the timekeeper. Anybody hot for Rhonda Shear?
Yes.
Oh, dear.
Of course you are, Scott.
Absolutely.
You going to be up all night with Rhonda Shear?
That was the point.
Yeah, were you a real big Up All Night fan, Scott?
I was. There was a lot of good. Let's put it this way, Jenny. She would introduce booty meat. Okay.
Oh.
So why don't we not fucking kill on Rhonda here, because booty meat would have been an Up All Night. Booty meat would have been an Up All Nighter, definitely.
Well, for 15 minutes, I guess, but I mean,
who cares? It's 15 awesome minutes.
One man's 15 minutes is another man's Up All Night, I guess.
That's right. Yeah, no, Up All Night was fun. If you go on Wiki, they have a list of all the movies they've ever aired, and there were some real winners. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Show lasted 10 years. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was on for a long time.
Yeah.
Stan Lane says that she's only smitten with Lex because she hasn't met him yet.
Yeah, and that's a shoot, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stan Lane, you know what he was up to.
What was he up to?
Well, he's very, very famously would get around with the ladies. Made time with the ladies.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. That was like that was his main goal, wherever he went.
Well, isn't that true for most guys, though?
Oh, yeah, but I don't know. I mean, Stan Lane was just... I think, like, with the Midnight Express, Bobby Eaton and Jim Cornette were not so much that way. So it was like those two, and then Stan Lane would go off. And
Bobby Eaton was not much that way. How dare you?
I know. I shouldn't,
Pride of Huntsville.
Alabama Slammer.
Look, the worst member of the Midnight Express is probably better than what any of us have ever done, so...
Speak for yourself, Maddie. Next up... Okay, this is like a little weird quirk, but like... Is it Quebecers or... Like... It seems like some people say it weird. How do you pronounce Quebecers?
I think the pronunciation is Quebec.
Quebec.
Yeah, I think like if you're saying it in Quebecois, that's the language. So I think it's Quebec.
Does anybody say it like that?
I do not.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Unless it's owned would say Quebecers.
Quebecers. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But regular people say Quebecers.
Okay, good. See, these are the little like nuances that I really enjoy talking about, So they're up against some fucking guys that get their shit pushed in as well.
Let's put it this way. Before you go any further, Jenny, PJ Walker is someone you're going to be very accustomed with on another show that you do.
Oh, okay.
Put it that way. So you guys know what I'm talking about.
You have to narrow that down because I do a lot of shows. I'm assuming you don't mean Freak Out Drive-In.
Took the words right out of my mouth. I was just going to say that.
It is Freak Out Drive-In. No. No.
Yeah, he was in Tremors 8.
Yeah, Tremors 8. Yes, he was. He was in Booty Meat 2. No. Let's put it this way. You, my PIC, and Mr. D'Amato will find this gentleman down the line.
All right, good. And PJ Walker is the only person they name. Like, I had to look up the other guy because they never said his name.
Mike Bell?
Mike Bell?
Yep. Yeah, there's the commercial to start this match. So if that tells you anything about what we're in for, because they do the entrances and then they cut to commercial. And then nobody fucking cares about anything that happens during this match. It's basically these guys getting their ass beat. Captain Lou comes out at some point, and then there's the only thing of note for me in this match was the tandem move where one of them gets the guy in a Boston Crab and the other one does the leg drop off the top.
Yep.
Which was the finisher, which I thought looked pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
So, like, pretty much nothing match. And you have any thoughts on this one, Matt?
Yeah, it was a nice showcase for the Quebecers. That's pretty much it. And God bless PCO for still wrestling in 2020. Good Lord.
Yeah.
54 at some point?
Yes.
Ring of Honor champ last year. Good God.
Yep.
Amazing. Yep. Drew?
Not much to add besides the two jobbers got a little bit of a shine at the very beginning. They sent the Quebecers out of the ring, and they both got up on the turnbuckles and were, celebrating like they were the Rock and Roll Express or something.
And then they cut to commercial.
Yeah, it was very
come
strange.
back and they're getting their ass beat.
Yeah.
Scott, anything else?
Yeah, it's just a good squash. Quebecers were a great team. Obviously, they were Johnny Polo's guys, so so that made it doubly awesome. That was it. Just good squash. Good squash.
All right, here we go. This was the highlight of the show for me, in which Todd Pettengill introduces an interview with Vince McMahon and Randy Savage. Randy gives one of the most amazing things. I mean, and it's a Savage promo is many things, But usually, I think you would think of Savage being wild and crazy and flamboyant and coked up and hype. This was the opposite, except for the coked up part. And, like, he was staring Vince McMahon in his eyeballs this entire promo. And it was so intense. And he seemed to be speaking from his very soul. And it was some of the most heartfelt, like, I mean, just straight up emotion from Randy Savage that I've ever seen that's not like comical or wild. You know what I mean? Like, it was like this simmering intensity, and the camera was right in his face, and you could see the way he looks at Vince, and he just talks about how he wants to get his dignity back at WrestleMania 10, and how Crush shattered his dream of getting the belt back for the third time. He references his divorce and his personal life, and how he's just going to be who he is, and he's going to beat, embarrass, and humiliate Crush. It was just next level amazing. I was blown away with everything that happened during this interview. What did you guys think, Matt?
Oh, it was unbelievable. One of the best promos I've seen, period. And it was a Randy Savage promo that, like you said, you don't see all that often. A lot of times he's got the shades on, he's got the flamboyant stuff going on, and, he's kind of hamming it up and spinning around and whatnot. But this was just him looking at Vince, telling him what he wanted to do to Crush because of what Crush did to him, and you knew that he was going to do it at Mania. It was just unbelievable. And, I think we'll probably touch on this later on too, but it showed that Savage, despite what Vince might have thought, because the rumors were always that he was trying to push Savage back a little bit by doing the, doing commentary and kind of having Savage take a back seat. And it showed that he could still go. Like, I don't know if it was because he wanted to phase things over to the younger guys, and he wanted to phase out the older guys. But I mean, and you'd see it in WCW when he eventually goes there later in the year too, that he could still go on the mic, in the ring, and this just showed that. This was unbelievable.
I was just floored. What about you, Drew?
Yeah, I was pretty shocked. It came out of nowhere, and it's just a total shift from what you think a Randy Savage promo is, even just from him sitting down.
Yeah.
And he's using more of his normal voice, and he doesn't have shades on, and his look, and this is kind of to your point, Matt. He's looking more contemporary. He's wearing a plain black bandana and a leather jacket. And you see, like, boy, he's still got it. He could be, if he didn't go to WCW, what could he have done in WWF heading into the Attitude Era even? I mean, that's a big what if. And I think, I really wish he would have stayed and we could have seen that version of Randy Savage, maybe even starting from 94, see him transitioning away from the bright colors and the tassels and everything into a more subdued, more serious, a little bit more cerebral type character. And just what he would have done, if he was a heel siding with Vince McMahon or something, or, going against, because that he was supposed to be, wasn't he supposed to be at one point, like in 98, a challenger to Austin? It wasn't that one of the rumors that he was going to leave?
There was probably at least 4 rumors between 96 and 99 that had Savage leaving.
Well, yeah, he was going to come back at Survivor Series
96. Yep.
Yeah.
He was rumored to be the commissioner. He was rumored to
Survivor Series 98 too.
Yeah, he was supposed to be the guy that Mankind faced in the Deadly Game. I mean, every time there were rumors that Savage was pissed, literally a day later, some website would say that he's going to back to the WWF. It happened a ton.
Yeah.
Broke our hearts every time.
Yeah, but he would have been. I mean, because we see, we've seen in the ring through the next couple years, he can still go in the ring, and we see right now glimpses of what could be, as this more serious character and this more reality-based character going forward. It's pretty amazing, and him talking about, he didn't defeat Yokozuna, but he got there. He should have beat him, and even if he doesn't have the belt, he knows in his heart that he got that far with Yokozuna, and no one had done that yet, or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I guess WrestleMania 9, but he still got there.
Mm-hmm. What did
Very
you think,
cool.
Scott?
To kind of piggyback, Sue's kind of half stole my thunder a little bit, but I really do think that I agree with him 100%. I think that Savage, the content, let's put it this way, the content was a work, the delivery was a shoot. I definitely think Savage was trying to prove to Vince, I do not belong out to pasture. I am still the man, and you will take me seriously. And I think that's what the delivery of that promo meant. Obviously, the content was meant for Crush and that storyline in that match going into the following week at the Garden. But the delivery of that promo clearly was a message to Vince that I could still be the fucking shit if you need me to be, if you let me be. And sadly, Vince didn't, but he should have. But that's what made that promo great. Savage proved... It was kind of like that 95 Nitro when Hogan came out with the black and the fucking red boots and everything, like just very anti what you're used to with Savage. And it just proved that this guy knows his shit. He didn't win. He wasn't number one on the GWWE superstar of all time list for nothing. His legacy speaks for itself. And that promo proved that when he needed to and delivered it a different way, he can. He doesn't have to be flying around with leather jackets and tassels and cowboy hats. He delivered in any way when he had to. And it was sad that he would end up getting put out to pasture and then would have to leave. And that sucked. It made me almost more frustrated watching this promo and then seeing what would happen down the line. But unbelievable. Clearly a hidden gem of the decade for promos.
Imagine being Vince McMahon and having that shit like right in your face. You know what I mean? Like he was staring Vince in his eyes the whole promo. I was, God,
awesome.
Oh my God.
There's such a vulnerability to it as well, which again you didn't see. Especially not in the Macho Man, but him bringing up his divorce and him admitting that he failed, and it's just like seeing his eyes up close and hearing him say those things. It just pretty incredible.
And that was stuff you didn't hear about back then, like Savage bringing up his divorce. You heard none of that stuff. They never blended real life in with storylines like that. At that point.
So crazy that happens in this fucking school gym or wherever the fuck, just this random spot. I don't know. Wrestling's so crazy.
Awesome.
And then at the end, interview's over. Just fucking leaves.
That was awesome when he said that.
Yep. Smart of Tony to ban me from this shit because I don't need to be here because I'm gonna murder somebody right in this place.
You don't crush, I'll see him at the Garden.
Oh, God. I'm definitely watching WrestleMania 10 just for that match.
Yep.
Is it any good? Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Okay.
No. Nope.
All right. Next up, the main event. Tatanka versus Yokozuna. Vince and Polo are back, of course, because they only get the semi-good matches. They each miss a couple of moves in the beginning of this. I guess just trying to get their bearings. I don't know. Polo has a bunch of dumb jokes in this match. Yoko does a a weird like nerve hold thing for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yep. His near pinch.
yeah, that really almost cripples old poor Tatanka. Yoko's bleeding from the mouth, which I kind of enjoyed. It was subtle blood, but still there. I liked seeing that. Tatanka slams Yoko's face into the turnbuckle, and he goes down. Bunch of USA chants during this. They're totally against Yoko, and this crowd is. Couple of close 2 counts. Yoko goes off the top rope, sits on Tatanka for the win. Yeah, I don't know. I like Tatanka's fire in this. Like, he tried, but it was just to no avail. Like, he didn't really have much of a chance on this, but he tried, and he made Yoko bleed, so that's not nothing, I guess, and he did get him knocked down at one point. I gave it 2 3/4 on a star rating, but it kind of anticlimactic as far as a main event. What do you think, Drew?
Yeah, anticlimactic, I guess, is a good word. I don't know what I was expecting, I guess, but I honestly, I don't even remember too much about it. It seemed it was not very noteworthy compared to the rest of the stuff we had seen that night.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and Tatanka certainly didn't help bring any of my enthusiasm up with that promo of his earlier.
Right, yes. He just looks kind of like, I'm trying to think of a good analogy, but it's something like he tries to be more than what he is. Like, he thinks he has a shot, but it's like he's delusional, I guess is the word that I'm looking for. He's very delusional in thinking that he has any chance against this giant man. Do you agree, Scott?
Yeah. I mean, this is meant to be what it's meant to be, which is Yoko inflicting his will as world champion. Tatanka's just, he's as a face, he's dead in the water, and this shows it. Yeah, there's really not much more to say here. It was just a perfect showcase for Yoko as a dominant, awesome heel world champion that brought stability to the company the year before and has been there ever since. It's been a good run for him.
What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, it was fine. And this, to me, it felt like a match you would see on like a lower level house show. Mm-hmm. Hot start early, heel dominates, babyface gets a couple of hope spots, heel eventually wins. Mm-hmm. It felt like a pretty basic house show match you would see. But I thought it was fine for what it was. Nothing earth-shattering or anything like that, but gives Yoko a win going into Mania against a pretty well-known opponent. So
I think I'd give an extra star to a Yoko match just because I get to see his dainty feet and his giant
calves.
Yes, like what a huge person he is. And I'm not saying that derogatory at all. Like, there's no fat shaming. It's just amazing. Like, mm-hmm. His size is mind-boggling to me.
When you think of a guy that big,
yeah,
to be able to move around the ring like he does,
yeah.
And I mean, by this point, he's already kind of starting to slow down.
Yeah.
Like in '93, he's a lot faster. But even into like '96, I mean, he's close to 700 pounds by the time he wraps things up.
Are you serious?
And, he was massive.
Oh
he was massive.
And I mean, first of all, the fact that he could even walk was, a miracle. But I mean, he's able to wrestle. It's wild to think about.
Well, Tatanka does get him off his feet, so I guess is, something. For such a giant.
It was a good hope spot.
It was. Nothing against him at all, but just He's not meant to do this. Not meant to be Yoko. So that's it for the show. They do the wrap up. Vince asks Gorilla and Stan and Polo who they think is going to win the championship. Gorilla says Yoko, Stan says Lex, and Polo says Bret. So we're all over the map on those predictions. And then we get Men on a Mission WrestleMania wrap. Not unfun. I enjoyed that quite a bit. Like a little music video at the end for their wrap. And there's a lot of footage outside of Madison Square Garden, which brought back a lot of memories for me. So that was fun. And that wrapped up the show. So the only thing that's left are our awards. The Diamond Award for Best Match. I ended up going with Crush vs. Bret.
Me too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I went with that too.
Lex versus
Good
I knew
grief.
you were
Jimmy
gonna
Del
do
Rey.
that. I knew you were going to
No
do
more
that.
Well,
fucking
that's on
no more
that's on
tacos.
brand. That's on brand.
More tacos for you.
The Cubic Zirconia for Worst Match. The Quebecers got that from me.
Oh God, this one's tough because they all kind of serve their purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll go with man. I'll go with Razor blowing a hole through that fucking scrub who had no name. Or what is his name? Is that Danny DeVito's cousin? Was that
Yeah,
that?
Tony DeVito, yeah.
Yeah, that one. Only because Razor made it so boring in his destruction of him.
That sounds good. I'll go with that one too.
I'll go with Bam Bam killing that poor bastard.
Poor Bam Bam. The Ruby Award for MVP.
Easy for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went back and forth on this one, but I ended up with Yoko.
Savage.
Savage.
Well, see, he didn't wrestle, so I kind of took him out of it, you know?
But I'll be honest, that promo was better than 2/3 of the matches.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I had Savage for my Opal Award. One of the highlights, of course, being
Yes.
Randy.
Yep.
Polo.
I don't discount your Yoko pick because he was all over this fucking show. I mean,
Yeah.
it was evident Vince was just showing everyone this guy is the world champion and he's fucking 615 pounds.
Mm.
So fuck with him, you know. So I don't see that as a bad pick, but that promo's just epic.
Yeah.
For 1994, immensely epic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I actually gave Polo a nod too. I enjoyed him. I know that he was slightly annoying, but he made me laugh at points. And him and Vince is such an odd pairing to me that I kind of enjoyed it. And then, sadly, a nod for Lex, who I enjoyed more than normal on this show.
He served his purpose.
Mm-hmm.
He got what he got done what had to get done.
I'll take that as a big win.
I know you will. I will have no memory of it on our next episode. Don't worry.
That's probably for the best.
Yeah.
What do you guys have for Opal Awards?
Vince holding the microphone like a wine glass.
Yes.
Yep.
Me finally figuring out what the Johnny Polo Sound Machine was when the baby, he started making the baby crying sound effect. And Johnny Polo and Vince yelling at the top of their lungs while Lex Luger is swinging an American flag around while a John Philip Sousa march plays.
I liked Tatanka and the low rent college news station promo that he cut on a 1977 handheld Panasonic or whatever the hell that was. It was rough, but entertaining.
We'll go with the Vince holding the microphone like a wine glass. And when they were panning the crowd at the opener, there was a kid in the front row wearing an unbelievable San Jose Sharks jersey that I need like I need air in my lungs.
Yeah. There was a kid with a killer, like, total early 90s Notre Dame t-shirt, too. That's what I love about these WWF, these Raws in the early 90s, like 90, the first few years. You see, like, what the sports apparel culture was at that time, like big logos and crazy colors and the crowd. You pan the crowd and you got like a ton of, and you can tell who the hot teams are. Tons of Bulls merch, and
there's always there's always at least one kid with these '90s shows wearing the Looney Tunes shirt where they're all dressed up in sports gear.
Yep, absolutely. But yeah, that's the best part too. But that Sharks jersey was killer, absolutely killer.
And as far as the WrestleMania rap goes, A Tribe Called Quest, they are not.
They're not even naughty by nature.
It was so like all the lyrics were like very like,
bad? Is that the word you're looking for?
Mean, they wrapped up exactly what was going on in the show. You know what I'm saying? Like they ran down the card in their rap. So it was very accurate.
Here comes Fink. He's going to announce the guy.
Yeah, no, yeah.
He's getting in the ring.
just rapping on things that are happening. It's funny to me.
Very observational.
Yes, observational rapping. Yes, very good. Wow, what a show. All right, well, let's go around and promote a couple of things. Drew, what do you have going on?
I've got a new episode of You Don't Know Billy Jack that came out a couple weeks ago. It is on the Bret Hart versus Steve Austin WrestleMania 13 match.
I was going to say Bret Hart versus Crush.
Yeah, it's on one of the greatest matches of all time. Bret Hart versus Crush.
Man, if your friend didn't hate you before for making you watch wrestling, good Lord.
Yeah, no kidding. So there's that one. The next one will be coming out late May. That's on Villano 3 versus Atlantis, Mask versus Mask, which is a incredible match. Can't wait for that. And you can follow me on Twitter at _Burning Spirits. I don't know if we plugged the Facebook group for GWCW, but head on over to that. There's a lot of good stuff going on, a lot of good matches being talked about. And I should be a little more active with GWCW stuff going forward. So, yeah.
Awesome. What about you, Scott?
Well, my plugs was the break, so I don't have to go that much further.
I know, right?
Follow me on Twitter at PTB Podfather, and follow our other Twitter, of course, at Place to Be Nation. You have two of the most Twittered here for that. We always promote great stuff on there. And I agree with Drew, and Drew and I have had some discussions about WCW things. So listen, the reason I'm saying this, and I said this the other night too, with what the landscape is in wrestling right now, which really blows, this is a perfect time for us to have this GWCW project, because I feel like it's one of the most engaging year-long projects we've had. And a lot of the shows that we have, both on the Place to Be Wrestling feed and on the North-South Connection feed, we're gonna have a lot of content to help you with your ballots and with your thinking on matches. So stay with us. You may think to yourself, "Oh, geez, why do I have to listen to Wrestling Pod? We're going to listen to a bunch of firings and furloughs." No, we're going to keep you entertained. When we're going to talk about, if we have to talk about history, we're going to talk about history, and we're going to talk about the things that make wrestling fun. So stay engaged. As Drew said, go to the Facebook page. All of the stuff. I mean, main event. The NWA Saturday Special, hell, talking WCW, you guys always, whatever matches you talk about could conceivably be somebody's in top 15. You never know.
For sure, the Battle Bowls will be.
Hell yeah, Battle Bowl column, the Battle Bowl colon,
the Lethal Lottery.
That's where Battle Bowl belongs, in the colon.
So just stay engaged at Place to Be Nation on Twitter, at PTB Podfather, and the Facebook page, and stay here to the website, to the wrestling feed. We're going to have as much content as possible for you. So in this climate right now, we're going to do what we can to keep you entertained. So dive in and have some fun with it. So, and a lot of shows on the horizon for all of us.
How about you, Maddie?
Well, we have an announcement. I will be starting a new podcast on the Place to Be Nation Boop feed. It is called A Piece of the Action Podcast, and in a similar vein to Freak Out Drive-In and Laugh-In Theater, it will be a live watch podcast of action movies.
Woohoo!
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Tremendous.
So that will be starting in May, and let me check my notes here. My first guest is, Jennifer Smith.
Well, you got to start out with a bang on the Action Pod, right?
So we'll be recording that in May, so keep an eye out for that on the Boop feed. And as always, check out the weekend playlist, music videos, Spotify playlist, Apple playlist for your weekend listening. And you can follow me on Twitter at msouza1991.
I'm excited for that. And
me too.
These watch-along podcasts are the most fun to do, I think. Number one, because there's no prep involved, which is always important when you have 85,000 podcasts that you do. And it's really just off the cuff and riffing, which is kind of my favorite thing. So I'm looking forward to that. I think you'll be great, Matt.
Very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
So for me, I have a new episode of PTB NXT, episode number 4. We got to NXT Arrival. That's me and Jake and Tim. That's a really fun show to do. It's so funny because you get 3 Southerners on a podcast and then it lasts longer than the actual show that you're watching. Because we don't know how to shut up, apparently. Also on my feed on the Jenny Position, there should be a new episode of Geek and Sassy and a new episode of Freak Out Drive-In. So you can find me on Twitter at Jenny Position, and the Facebook page is Jenny Position as well. Also on the North South Connection podcast, we are still doing the Extreme 3-Way Dance. So we have a new episode of that right now. You should be able to find it, episode 21, which was really cool with JT and John D'Amato. So I guess that's it. I'm not sure what we're doing next for the Gems, so it will be a surprise to me and to you, our great listeners. Thank you for listening. Good night.
Here we got Hollywood's cream of the crop. Here's the list, and it's hot, hot, hot. We got Burt Reynolds from Evening Shade. It's Smokey and the Bandit. He had a miss. We got Ron the Sheer from Up All Night. WrestleMania 10 is out of sight. We got Little Richard in the place to be. Head club for men. No, we got Stop Throwing. Hair will be weaving, corn rolling and curling. We got Jenny Go from 90210. Should be ringing the bell if you really want to know.
We got stars galore, we got stars galore. You're gonna see a show like never before. The mission is the titles and we will win, but we all gonna rock WrestleMania 10.
The hurdles at the Mania are gonna be hard. Check it out now, cause here's the card. Lex go against Yoko, he'll tear him apart. But the winner of that match will face Bret Hart. Bret goes against Owen, they'll fight one another. It'll be a class man, brother versus brother. Bret better be aware, but what's at hand? He's in for the fury of the Macho Man. Adam Bob's in the house, he's going to shake. cause he must face somebody earthquake, Shawn Michaels and Razor. This one matters most. I see them at the top of the ladder. Leilani Kai must be in a daze. She must face Arundra Blaze. Dork and Dink, you know they like to joke. Bam Bam and Luna might go up in smoke.
We got stars galore, we got stars galore. You're gonna see a show like never before. The mission is the title and we will win, but we're all gonna rock WrestleMania 10.
Men on a mission, know it ready to crush. The Quebecers have the belts, but they must meet us. We got one more match, this one's in the bag. 10 men in the ring for a 10-man tag. It's gonna be a gala, it's coming to you next Sunday, March 20th
On
on pay-per-view.
pay-per-view.
Yeah, 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 yeah,